All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, January 5th. We have a 6-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you absolutely free. That'll take you to my final play, so I'm actually rolling with myself, if that does interest you. And yeah, fade me last night would have been the right move there. In fact, you know how they say a picture's worth 1,000 words? How about this picture? We hit just one play last night, and it was a 3-leg parlay. We posted it on Instagram. It was for Damian Lillard, Paul George, and Pascal Siakam all to get 15-plus points, which they did, but that was the only thing we touched yesterday that turned to gold. Everything else turned to you-know-what. That was unfortunate because we even had to sweat that one out. So what a just killer of a night. That's 2 nights in a row now that we just think we're seeing something clearly, and it's like, yeah, buddy, you're upside down. You're not reading it correctly. It's another language to me. So hopefully that does not last there. We got the loser hat on today in the graphic. Like I said, picture worth 1,000 words. I could show you all the red check marks and the one green check mark, or I could show you my double chin and a loser hat, and hopefully that gets the bad juju out of there. In fact, let's turn it up. Headphone warning. I don't know how long this will be. We'll drop the womp womp. Cleanse ourselves of womp womp worthy plays and jump into today because we do have some good vibes here. We're on a little bit of a ride of the day streak here with Ryan. Take the cha-ching there. Ryan hits Denny Avadabadabadoo yesterday with 25-plus PRA. Denny has a great game. I think he had like 19 and 14 just from a points and rebounds perspective. So shout out to Ryan. That is kind of keeping us whole here, at least keeping the vibes up here. Well, we're doing our best to bring them down here. So shout out to Ryan for the ride of the day win. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me your favorite play out there. I jump on board with each and every day. I jump on board with one pick. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. You get a shout out here on the video. You get a shout out over on my Twitter/X. You get a shout out on the Guy Boston Sports site with the final plays. Even if you lose, right? There's my Twitter, by the way, if you do want to follow. If you win, which Ryan has now done 3 times in a row, we continue to ride with your plays until the wheels fall off. So looking forward to seeing what Ryan throws our way today. But yeah, guys, like I said, hopefully we're cleansed of these bad plays because it's been pretty damn bad. You guys know I don't shy away from losses or anything like that. Like if we can celebrate the wins, we gotta weep in the losses, right? Which is tough because obviously in this industry you're gonna catch some L's. So shout out to all the guppies that are like, you're always wrong. It's like, I wouldn't say always wrong, but we're definitely gonna have wrong days and bad days there. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and jump into this slate. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into a really, really good game here, especially as a Celtics fan. This is a little bit of an afternoon game here. 3:30 Eastern time, so will that mess with things? Not exactly sure, but we got OKC taking on Boston Thunder, 2-point favorites. I've seen some 2.5s out there, so definitely keep an eye on that. Total sitting at 222. Like I said, this should just straight up be a very good game, and if you're sitting here listening to my take, I'm not trying to sway you on either side. I do have an opinion on this game, but this is a game in which you can make an argument for both sides, and you guys know when we come across these games, I want to tell you that because I don't want any bar fights starting over someone thinking that one team needs to win and it's stupid for the other side to win, right? I like Boston in this spot. I'll tell you why. Well, one, I am a biased Celtics fan, so maybe that goes a little bit way there. But the Celtics are still shooting unbelievable from 3, and this Thunder team, while they are a very, very good perimeter defense, their defense has definitely been, their strong suit, I should say, has been protecting the paint, which the Celtics don't necessarily elect to shoot in the paint all that much, right? We've seen the Celtics now play 2 very good perimeter defenses that I would kind of put on OKC's level in Houston and Minnesota 2 games in a row, and they beat both of them. So yes, if the Celtics were a team that just loved to take it inside, that's what they did. Tatum, Brown, got to the rim and all that, then I probably would sit here and be like, yeah, this is probably a Thunder spot because I think they're going to make it tough on the Celtics. I think the Celtics can shoot over this OKC team. Jaylen Brown is questionable, so that's obviously massive. We want to make sure that he's playing if we are going to be riding with the Celtics, but he hasn't played in 2 games, so I'm kind of sort of thinking that, this should be a spot in which maybe if I think he had a shoulder strain. It was nothing major, but now he's missed a couple games. Hopefully they're keeping him healthy for this game, whether it's intentional or just by happenstance. But overall, I do like the Celtics to be able to shoot from deep in this one. And Alex Caruso, one of the best, obviously, OKC perimeter defenders, is out here as well. So this is, I think that he's missed, 7 or 8 games. So that's obviously been tough for them. I will give the Thunder credit in the sense that they are just absolutely cruising. Like, they played the Knicks a couple nights ago, right? 4-point favorites, beat the Knicks, who were on a scorcher by 10 points. So I'm not trying to sit here. I started this saying, I'm biased, and I think there's a lane for both of these teams because, like I mentioned, the Thunder, it sounds like I'm ragging on their perimeter defense. Still, at home this season, the 10th fewest points per game allowed from 3 against them. They're really locking up above the break threes, which is where the Celtics like to shoot from. The corners they do struggle in, but overall, I think that the Celtics team is showing that, yeah, they can shoot from anywhere. Number 1 team in terms of points from 3 so far this season. Number 1 team over the last 10 games and above the break threes taken, so it shouldn't be all that shocking. But what's really, really cool, in fact, if we jump into the dashboard here, and I say cool as like an NBA nerd here, why I love this game is that very rarely you're going to see 2 teams that are in the top 10 in terms of offensive efficiency and top 10 defensive efficiency going up against one another. A lot of the time you'll see like a middle of the pack defense that's a really good offense. That's why they're such a good team. But we have a really good ball game on our hands here, and you can see it via the dashboard. So like I mentioned, guys, I'm rambling. I'm not on the fence. I like the Celtics, but I could totally see someone making an OKC argument. Like, why wouldn't you, right? They've been on absolute fire. Where I will say, and I mentioned the defense, I'm going to give these 2 defenses some credit here. I'm going to lean towards the under. We've seen this OKC team, play well against the Celtics 3 times ago, which would have been, I think, a year and a half ago. They scored 150 against the Celtics, and they scored 127. Last year, the game that they played most recently was 135-100. So, yeah, maybe it's kind of crazy, but I don't think either one of the defenses were as good as they are right now. So, sure, those are in the past. Let's put that away. Let's think about right now. This is the Celtics team that last few games here, ready? 86, 115, 71 in terms of points allowed. That was against Houston, Minnesota, Toronto. Not exactly OKC. OKC, on the other hand, 107, 98, 105, 106, 94, 114, 105, 97, 99, 97. Those are their last 10 games in terms of points allowed. Neither one of these teams should be allowing easy baskets whatsoever. And from a player prop perspective, I really don't have much that I'm loving in this game. I think it's going to be Celtics plus 2 points, Celtics money line, or pass for me in this one. All right, we have a really good game followed up by one that I would not necessarily put in the same category. We have Cleveland taking on Charlotte. One thing that I will say here is that Charlotte has been shooting a lot of threes, making a lot of threes, so I guess we can give them credit there. On the other side, their guys are still injured, right? LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, still game-time decisions, so we're not exactly sure. If they were to play, I really wouldn't mind a potential look at an over. Might sound crazy, but there's no way that Cleveland can't score on this Charlotte team from deep. And then Charlotte, the way that they should elect to shoot, because no chance they're taking it down low against this Cleveland team, the way they should shoot is from deep. So that's kind of how my brain works. I look at an over immediately because I don't want to touch a minus 15.5, total. That just seems a little bit crazy to me, just overall. Even though Cleveland should be able to mop the floor with Charlotte, it's like, well, 15.5 points is a lot, right? To tell your team, hey, go out there and win by 16 is a lot. So, yeah, it's either that, maybe an over, or even a Cleveland team total over. I could see them scoring right now for minus 140, which is a little juicy over on MGM. You can get them over 117.5. Do we think Cleveland's going to score, 118? Well, they've done it in 7 of their last 8 games, so that looks pretty good. In terms of these 2 teams, particularly pace-wise, they're kind of middle of the pack. Charlotte has been a really slow team for plenty of this season. But that said, in the last 10 games, they're sitting at the 14th ranked pace team. Cleveland right there at 13 as well. Last time they played was December 17th, and they've played a couple times this year. December 17th, 116 to 102. So that was an under. The time before that was in late November or mid-November, 128 to 114. I'm thinking that 128 to 114 when everyone was healthy and whatnot is more of a spot where we could see something like that today. In terms of that December game, they did have some injuries and whatnot on the Charlotte side of things. That was no LaMelo Ball. I think Brandon Miller might have played, but no LaMelo. And they play a lot better when LaMelo plays. So that's what I'll say. I'll look at an over 223 if LaMelo plays. If he doesn't, I probably end up pivoting to a Cleveland team total over. Now, from a player prop perspective, I'm targeting anyone that's on the perimeter here for this Cleveland team. I'm weary and worried about a blowout, so I might not, jump to these as quickly as I might normally, but Darius Garland Garland over 2.5 threes made. That looks okay to me. You know he's going to be taking a decent amount against this Charlotte team. And I say anyone on the perimeter because Charlotte this season, actually a top 10 team in terms of points allowed in the paint. Give them a little bit of credit there. In the paint, they've actually struggled, but at the rim, they've been pretty damn good. So that kind of sways a little bit. And the distinguishing factor there would be at the rim is the restricted area. In the paint would be anywhere from the restricted area to the foul line. So they've actually been not so great in the paint. I don't mean to use that verbiage, but definitely not bad at defending the rim. But against around the perimeter, they really haven't been all that tremendous. So that's why I would target someone like Mitchell or Darius Garland or anyone that's going to shoot 3-point shots for Cleveland today. Now, I know we're talking basketball, but that Bijan Robinson Square over on Underdog is still available for Sunday football. Do not miss it, guys. A free pick over on Underdog. 0.5 total yards. Bijan can carry it. He can catch it and run with it. 4.5 yards, and this square cashes. Add it into your entry, and it's just going to boost the payout. If you don't know what Underdog is, it is one of my favorite DFS player prop apps out there. You just pick higher or lower based on player set projections. You add those picks into your entry. The more you win, the more you get paid out. You sign up today with the link in the description and the pinned comment. You're going to get this Bijan Square. You're also going to get up to $1,000 in a deposit bonus, which sounds crazy, but it's true. Go check out Underdog, guys. That link will be in the pinned comment as well as the description. Do not miss out on this. If you are not on Underdog and you've seen it around, you've seen the commercials, you're seeing this now, me talk about it, do not wait another second. Go ahead and check it out. It really is a cool app. They do a bunch of promos and just kind of give another little twist to sports picks and whatnot. It's really, really cool, guys. Go check it out. Very, very entertaining. Now, let's jump back into the games here. All right, Washington taking on the Pelicans. Thank God we got OKC and Boston to watch today because there is some weird games going on. But not only did we have to talk about this game a couple days ago, Washington taking on the Pelicans, now they just flip home and away, and they're playing again. That game ended with a Pelicans 132-120 win. And honestly, I leaned the home team in that game, not really because of any reason, right? I do think that it makes sense given the fact that, DeJounte Murray's getting a little bit more healthy. They have CJ McCollum. Like, this Pelicans team, it's so funny, and I guess not funny if you're a Pelicans fan, but this Pelicans team was supposed to be pretty good, right? DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they stink. But that was a lot to do to injury. And I do think, I've said it a bunch, on the channel here, that I don't know how DeJounte Murray, Ingram, and Zion all kind of fit. McCollum can mold it and fit because he can be a ball dominant player. He can be a kind of run around, catch and shoot type player. I give McCollum credit for fitting in and being a chameleon with this squad, but I don't know, even if healthy, if this Pelicans team really has the legs. But they're facing off against the Wizards today, and it's like, okay, well, the Wizards are still gonna whiz. You know what I mean? I don't care if the Pelicans stink. This Washington team really stinks. So I think I lean towards the Pelicans in this spot. But again, you're kind of a psycho if you love anything in this game, right? Now, Washington's going to shoot a bunch of threes. They have been over the last 10 games, at least. They haven't been shooting it at a great clip, but that's what they're going to shoot a bunch of, right? The Pelicans can't cover the perimeter. Pelicans can't really cover anywhere. Neither one of these teams can cover anywhere. But if Washington's hitting their shots, then sure, they have a chance. That's kind of why I'm hesitant to lay 4.5 points on the road with the Pelicans, because what if Jordan Poole goes out there and fires, right? What if Kuzma gets hot, or Coulibaly, or Carrington? Any of these guys that if their shot falls, then wow, it's a different team. That being said, Coulibaly and Jordan Poole listed as game time decisions, as is DeJounte Murray. So obviously a few guys to note there. The reason I do like the Pelicans, because I think there's less if to their game. The Pelicans are going to try and take it to the rim. They don't shoot a ton of threes, but over the last 10 games, they have the 4th most field goal attempts per game at the rim in the restricted area. So those aren't the if your shots are falling today. Those are layups. Those are close shots, way more of a high percentage make type shots, right? And the Wizards this season, not guarding the paint all that well. 4th most points, I should say, allowed per game so far this season. A 0.9% field goal percentage against in the restricted area. So yes, and it's a big if Washington shots are falling, they probably end up winning this game as home dogs, because the Pelicans can't stop a nosebleed on the perimeter, but they do not like to, get to the rim, which is where you should attack this Pelicans team. On the flip side, the Pelicans love to get to the rim, and you can totally attack this Washington team down low. So yeah, for that reason, I'm on the Pelicans. Again, this is kind of a risky one to even consider for final plays, but hey, who am I to not risk anything? We've been terrible the last couple days. I think that we can come out here and at least try and put some winners in there, right? Now, in terms of player props, I do think that we could see if DeJounte Murray or CJ McCollum both play, especially if Murray is out. I like CJ McCollum here. Yes, he's going to attack. He shoots from everywhere, right? But he also shoots a ton from sort of in that paint area. So not the restricted area, but just between the foul line. You can kind of consider it a close mid-range shot, right? And I don't mind his points sitting at 24.5. Like, this guy's going to get tons of looks. He had 50 against Washington in their most recent matchup. 2 times in a row now he's hit the over here. And what I love is kind of like what I said. He's going to have the quantity. Over his last 5 games here, get this, last 5 games, he shot the ball 21 times per game. So you sit there and it's like, CJ McCollum, I already gave him credit, as a quality player. 24.5 points seems like it's crazy high, but like, who else is going to be shooting that? Yes, DeJounte Murray could be there, but DeJounte Murray, his point line is at 17.5, and he has definitely been a guy that has been looking to pass the ball a little bit more as well, having, 15 potential assists, 14 potential assists. So I kind of like CJ McCollum today because he's also the guy that can hit the 3 ball, and like I did mention, this is a Washington team that doesn't cover either of those spots well. I know I'm focusing on in the paint, but McCollum is kind of unique in the fact that he leads the team in above the break threes. You look at it from restricted area attempts per game over the last 10 games, he's in second just behind Misi, and then he's number 2 in the paint as well. So I think McCollum could have a decent game. 24.5 seems high, but the dude has the volume. Like, it's crazy. Quick rant here. By the way, comment 16 if you made it this far into the video. We're about to hit the 16-minute mark. But I did want to make a quick rant. I know we have a lot of new viewers. Every single day we get new viewers, right? I know I smile and make jokes about losing and all that. That can turn people off, and I totally get it. But you got to understand in sports betting and whatnot, like, you're gonna have losses. You can't celebrate the wins, like I said at the beginning of the video, right? You can't have wins without being able to sit in your losses and almost laugh at yourself. No one's going to be 100%. No one's going to be 80%. No one's going to be 75% like they tell you on Twitter. So I apologize if you think I'm smiling too much, if I'm laughing too much, but it's kind of like, I apologize, but sorry, not sorry, because you got to be able to have a good time in this. I think in terms of sports betting, one of the biggest things is to be able to throw picks out there and have some stuff riding on games for entertainment. So with that comes losses. So I just wanted to interject here that for any new viewers or even the OGs that want to hear this, right? I know you guys love the rants. Anyone that's watching this right now, I know that we keep taking jabs at ourselves, but if you can't laugh at yourself, then you don't deserve to laugh at anybody else, right? Take that, put it on a t-shirt, put it on a tombstone or something like that, guys. I just wanted to let you know that I'm aware that I'm making fun of the losses. It seems like I'm downplaying it. I wouldn't say I'm downplaying it, but like, you gotta acknowledge it, right? We can't just be like, whoa, it's never happened. But like I tell you guys, windshields are larger than rearview mirrors for a reason. So we move forward. Let's get back to the games here. Apologies, but again, sorry, not sorry for the little rant here. All right, Orlando taking on Utah. Weird one here. I mean, I almost, like, my finger was over the place bet button for Utah yesterday against Miami. But if you watch back, I was like, I just don't have the data or the analysis to be able to ride with it. It was more so fade the Heat, which I wish I did. They won by 36 points there, Utah did. And now I think I am on the fade the Heat bandwagon. And this has been an Orlando team that, like, truly, now they've only played 3 kind of bad teams in their last 3 games, right? Brooklyn, Detroit, Toronto. But this has been an Orlando team that just seems to still be so resilient. Overall, like, this is a team that has lost all of their best players and whatnot. And they're still the number 4 seed in the East. Like, yes, they're not, they didn't lose them all at once, but it's crazy to me. Now, this Utah team is getting a little bit healthy. I mean, no Clarkson today, but Collins is listed in the starting lineup and all that. I could see Utah keeping this game close, but this is a very good defensive team against a very bad defensive team, and a mediocre offensive team against a very bad defensive team. So offensive team. Utah being the bad offense, but really, really good defense, and Orlando being the bad offense, really good defense. Utah being the very mediocre offense and very bad defense. There's only one very good in there in that little equation of what I said, offense, defense, right? And it's Orlando's defense. So I'm going to lean towards Orlando in this spot. You're also catching Utah on a back-to-back, which I like. Just 25% of their games so far this year on back-to-backs. They've covered on Orlando when they've had a rest advantage, and Orlando coming off of a win against Toronto, right? With rest advantage to their opponent, 66.7. So 2/3 of their games they've been able to cover. And so, yeah, it's weird. They keep losing guys, and somehow they keep stepping up to some degree. I think it's a decent spot here to be able to take a peek at, Orlando minus the 6 points. Do we wish we had a better line? Like, yes. In my numbers and crunching them, I have this at a 4.5 point spread. So, yeah, don't exactly love the fact that, that's a little bit different, but screw it. I still think that this is a spot for Orlando, especially with Utah on the back-to-back. Total sitting at 212. Now, before even looking at the line, when I was looking at this last night, I was thinking Utah team total under. They just scored 136. Now they're traveling to Orlando. I mean, they're in the same state, but to Orlando, back-to-back on the road against a really good defensive team. But right now, in fact, let me get an updated line for you guys as we go through it real time here. I was thinking Utah team total under because I thought the Utah team, this is before the lines came out, were going to kind of elevate and push that number up, but not so much. Like under 105.5 for -160. Utah plays at too fast of a pace for me to be comfortable there. So I would lean under. I would lean Utah team total under, but man, oh man, those are way too low of lines for a team that does play at a fast pace. And like I said, their offense can click. Like Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, Colin Sexton, Keontae George, no Clarkson, but when he does play, like these are guys that can get theirs. You know what I mean? So I think 105, 104.5, like just seems a little bit too low to me. Couple player prop spots that I would consider, and you might be sitting here being like, it's kind of crazy, but you're getting plus money for this one. Lauri Markkanen, under 2.5 3-pointers made. 3 straight games he's hit the under here. Now, he'd been crushing this earlier in the year, right? And he's going to take a hell of a volume, so that's the reason why I would say I get why you want to stay off of it. I'd also consider potentially looking at Keontae George, same exact stat. Now, his under is, minus money, -130, but he really isn't a guy that's going to go off from 3. He'll have those games in which he shoots, I think it was a few games ago against Detroit, he had 7, and he shot 13 times, but that's definitely more of an anomaly than normal. On the season right now, he's averaging 7 attempts per game, so for him to go out there and shoot and hit 3 of those isn't exactly what I would put as a lock. So I like the under. And Orlando, again, been playing some really good defense perimeter-wise and in the paint. So I think that the things I would look at, like I said, I wanted to lean towards a Utah team total under. One way to kind of beat around the bush, and that's how I think about plays a lot, is like, well, that value's not there. Who's going to make up a lot of the points for this? Lauri Markkanen. Maybe I look at his under instead of the team total under. That's kind of how I go about it. But targeting the perimeter specifically, I don't mind it. But yeah, if you just want to look at both these guys' points, I think that that's fair enough. Like Lauri Markkanen probably would be the one that I look at there to look at his under in points. He's been hitting the under in 57% of games so far this year. And obviously if he's not hot from 3, it's going to be hard for him to hit his points. All right, Houston taking on the Lakers here. We definitely have a Lakers team that's playing some damn good basketball, right? 8-2 in their last 10 games. One of their losses to Minnesota, the other one's to Detroit, so that's a bad one. But the Minnesota one, I guess, can be sort of excused. But they also haven't played the toughest of schedules. Like, let me go through the teams they've played. Portland, Memphis, they played Sacramento 3 times during that stretch in the last 10 games, so we know that Sacramento isn't exactly like the creme de la creme type of a team right now. Atlanta, Portland, Golden State, who's been kind of on a slide, so I do think the Lakers obviously having a good little run here. I give them credit, but what I also will mention is 6 of the last 10 games here have been at home, and they're a different team at home than they are on the road. 12-4 this year straight up at home. They've also covered, and in I think it was like just 45%, so even their home cover rate isn't that great, but straight up 12-4 at home, and then 8-9 on the road, in which they've covered in less than 40% of games, I believe. So yeah, like this is definitely a team that plays really well at home and not so much on the road here, and they're going up against Houston, who plays really well at home and not so much on the road, but look at where they are. Houston's at home, Lakers are not. So this is going to be a tough one to get to the Lakers side of things. Lakers are going to try to get into the paint. Houston's been very, very good at covering that. And what I like about what Houston's been starting to do is their their perimeter defense is definitely following suit. Like I even mentioned with the Celtics, right? Like I was a little weary that their perimeter defense has started to be a little bit better. Celtics still shot on them. The Lakers don't have that luxury. The Lakers are not going to sit there and jack a bunch of threes and make a bunch of threes. So I think this is a decent spot to take a peek at Houston here, minus the 4.5 points. If you can get a better number, sure, but I really don't know if the points will matter. I think either Houston's going to win by a bunch or, the Lakers win this game outright. So if you are on the Lakers side of things, I might just say plus 150 on the money line. Yeah, that's probably where I'd look. If you are on Houston, you want a better odds, go like 6.5. I think that they can win. I think this game is either going to be very clear as to who the better team is for the majority of this game. I don't think it's going to be a total back and forth game. Now, a couple injuries to note here. Looks like Jabari Smith Jr. is listed as out, which does matter, but doesn't at the same time. I would say they get Amin Thompson back. LeBron James and Anthony Davis both listed as probable. Those, again, they're probably going to play, but we're at the point in the year where it only took us a couple months, but LeBron and Anthony Davis are on the injury report every single day, right? In terms of what we have from a total here, I think that this is a spot in which the Rockets do truly lock up. So I would look at two things. The full game under, sure, but I also do not mind the idea of a Lakers team total under at all. We've actually hit this play multiple times when they played the Kings in those back-to-back games. When we have defenses that can prevent the Lakers from being able to take it into the paint, which I'm assuming and hoping that the Rockets can do, it's tough for the Lakers to go out there and put up a big number. So right now, under 109.5 for the Lakers. Yes, they've been crushing the over here, but they've been at home for the majority of these games, right? When they're on the road this year, it's not so much. Like so far this season, when they're on the road, their point total on average is 107. On the season, so including home games, it's at 113. So you can only imagine it's a little bit higher than that, right? So yeah, this is a spot in which, yeah, LeBron is on the road, Anthony Davis on the road, the Lakers on the road. Seems like a spot to fade their offense. There are a few spots that I like when it comes to player props. Anyone that, likes to shoot in the paint for the Rockets. So if we're looking at Jalen Green, we're looking at Alperen Sengun, I think that those could be spots as well. The one defensive spot that the Lakers have been decent at is also guarding the perimeter, but the Rockets don't need to and don't elect to shoot from the three all that much. So I would target in the paint against this Lakers team. That's been a tried and true method for us so far this year. I will say the last time we targeted it was DeAndre Ayton over 14.5 points. He had 4 points in the first 4 minutes, finished with 6. So that's kind of got a little bad taste in my mouth, but I still don't mind Sengun and Jalen Green, maybe some sort of a same game parlay between them so we can bring their numbers down a little bit. Golden State taking on Sacramento. I kind of smirk when this game comes up because it's like we definitely have two teams that are so hard to read in this spot, right? And now we'll jump into the DMB graveyard here. I think both of these guys are due to come off. So as of today, January 5th, it only took 4 games. I think the Kings can be revived. It doesn't mean that I'm going to jump to them, right? But they've won 3 straight games, and they're 2-1 in their last 3 against the spread. And their offense has looked good overall, in their defense, other than the Memphis game, has looked good. And then Sabonis, on the other end, he's looked good as well, right? He's kind of back to playing decent basketball. I don't think he had the best game against Memphis, but overall, both of these guys were clearing from the DNB. They're reaching their hand through, and they're able to come back. That doesn't mean that we have to jump on them right away, but just kind of updating you guys that we've had the potential revival for a couple days now for these guys. That's why the hand is there. We're ready to bet them again if we see fit. So I'm just mentioning that. Now, when we look at the injury report here, you do have no Steph Curry. They're still favored. Keegan Murray is listed as a game time decision, and you're probably like, well, then why is Sacramento underdogs? De'Aaron Fox is most likely missing this game as well. So obviously the 2 point guards that are most important to these two teams and maybe the game are out. So that's going to be a little bit tough. When we look at this game, where is the sort of tipping point? I would probably say Sacramento's perimeter defense, but Golden State's perimeter scorer is now out, right? So I do think that this is probably a spot in which maybe taking those 3 points with Sacramento isn't the worst of spots overall. Golden State's really, really good at preventing points in the paint, but you can get to the rim still if you have size. And I would say Sabonis definitely has the size you need. Like Trace Jackson-Davis, Draymond Green down there. Sure, I'll give Trace Jackson-Davis a little bit of credit, but he hasn't necessarily been the biggest of rim protectors. You know what I mean? Overall, and I think Sabonis could be a little bit more crafty than his defensive ability would show. I mean, he's what, 6'9", 240, right? It's not like he's a huge guy down there either, whereas Draymond's not the biggest, and then you have Domantas Sabonis, who should be the biggest guy in the game down low. So I would target Domantas Sabonis in points. His line's going to be super inflated because of no De'Aaron Fox, obviously, but I would look at Sabonis as well as DeMar DeRozan, someone to pick up the slack here. Golden State really stinks at defending the mid-range as well, so DeMar DeRozan, he comes in there. But give me Sacramento plus a 3 points. When it gets to a total at 224, I'm going to lean slightly towards the under. I'll give both of these teams their interior presence credit there. I still think Sabonis is better than Golden State's interior defense, but as a whole, still pretty good interior defense overall. And like I said, player prop-wise, I like Sabonis and DeRozan. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Again, we need some stuff to fall our way. I feel it. It's a good Sunday. We got NFL on. We got some NBA. We got the vibes riding high from the ride of the day as well from Ryan. So hopefully we can piece some things together. I do apologize if you guys are riding with these plays and whatnot, and you've lost the last couple days. I would only say I hope you've been riding all year long then, because we're so profitable in the year, right? So that's the biggest thing I could say. But overall, I'm just giving you my opinion, giving you my plays. I don't want anyone to blindly tail it based on text on a website. I want you guys to hear my opinion, and if you agree with it, then boom, we can get on the same page, But overall, guys, yeah, that's gonna wrap for me. Hope you guys did enjoy. Catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.